Oh yeah, he's back. The crack of the bat, the ping of the crossbar, and the roar of the crowd. We cover everything you want to talk about. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show on this Tuesday, November the 26th. And as always, we welcome Canadian sports fans around the globe. Welcome to your favorite mid-morning sports talk show, and only one in Canada. I'm your host, Rod Pedersen. He's the co-host, Darren Dupont. How are you today, dudes?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
You know, we're a team, you know?
Yes.
Like A-Rod. I'm A-Rod. He's J-Lo.
Ooh. I thought maybe you were going to go with like A-Rod and
there we go.
Edgar Martinez.
We're a team. That is almost an accurate depiction of size.
Okay. I was gonna say, that's pretty good.
A-Rod and J-Lo there. Yeah, we're a team.
And when we hit the tanning beds, we kind of look like that too.
Yeah, right. Ready to talk some sports today. It is, I would almost suggest, the first day of the CFL off season. We got a lot of CFL topics to get to, but trust me, right out of the gate, as I wear my Tampa Bay Lightning pullover, we'll be talking NHL here for a lot of the warm-up here for Flooring Superstores and our good friends over there, the Dickin family. It's episode number 123, and our friend in Saskatoon, Brady, texting it from high school this morning saying he says there's only two number 23s to be recognized at all, period. Do you want to take a stab at whom they might be?
Clark might know. Alexei Ponikarovsky?
No. Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Yeah, of course.
And I felt like saying, oh, Brady, you're so cute. In Saskatchewan, there is only 123.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not hoops.
No.
It's the little general, Ron Lancaster, the greatest Rough Rider of them all. But we'll take your suggestions for number 23s as we roll along today. A couple notes as we get rolling here. More of a Grey Cup wrap. The parade is today in Winnipeg, and I love the fact there's a guy, I think his name's Mike McIntyre, is a newspaper reporter in Winnipeg. I glanced on Twitter today that he's scoffing at Winnipeggers who are complaining about the time of the parade today. It's not good for them.
What would be good?
When's a good time for a championship parade? Very Winnipegish. You wait 28 years to have a Grey Cup parade and you bitch about the time of the parade. That's awesome.
Okay.
I could see it happening here,
you don't like it, reschedule for another 29 years from now.
Oh, damn, we shouldn't have won. It doesn't work for everybody. That's just hilarious to me. Pat writes in and says, Sam Steele. Sammy Steele of the Anaheim Ducks. He wore it with the Regina Pats.
Oh, yeah.
I'll allow it. On the program today, Mike Abou-Meshrik has returned from the Grey Cup, the Coupe de Grey. He was our correspondent there and did a fantastic job.
Really
good job.
Was he outstanding.
He's going to be here in the bunker with us today to talk about that, go through his photo album. Toronto Argonauts linebacker Micah Awe will be with us, one of the most feared and hardest hitters in the CFL, will be with us today on video chat. And Andrew Pedersen of formerly the Hustler and Lawless radio show, TSN Winnipeg Radio, will be with us. His name's Andrew Pedersen. His nickname was Hustler. Once and for all today, I want to find out if that's what he goes by. From the Piffles podcast today, Stephen and Alex coming by for their Grey Cup wrap and all the rest. But here's what I got to think this is what they're talking about on Coffee Road today, and that's Mike Babcock. As a matter of fact, a hockey guy this morning in the gym said, "How you doing?" As we were toweling off, I said, "Better than Mike Babcock." And a bunch of guys said, That's not to make light of the fact he was fired. I'm not making light of that. I'm talking about the allegations by Mitch Marner that, listen, you're the Leaf fan. Can you take it away? Can you paraphrase better than me?
Yeah, so apparently Mike Babcock, and this is a story that's come out, that he approached Mitch Marner as a young player and asked him to list on the team who were the most hardest working players and who were the least hardest working players on the team from his perspective. And he did. He didn't want to get the coach be mad at him, so he put this list together. Here's who I think is the most hardworking. Here's who I don't. And then Mike Babcock goes and shares that with the team and throws his player right under the bus.
It's pretty bad.
And so when you look at, Elliot Friedman has a good tweet here. He reached out to Mike Babcock, this is yesterday, about the Mitch Marner story as reported from the Toronto Sun. Via text, he replied, I was trying to focus on work ethic with Mitch. Focusing on role models ended up not being a good idea, and I apologized at the time. So trying to get him to be like, okay, who do you look up to? Here's the players you want to act like, be like if you want to be an NHL star. Sharing it with the team, I don't know about that. Here's what your rookie thinks of you guys. I don't think that's a good idea. And that's the Heat.
And actually, it's funny that you would go to Elliot Friedman because I watched Dregs on the TSN panel. He said the exact same thing. It was almost like Babs had those two in a group text.
Yeah, copy, paste.
Pretty much the same thing. He apologized to Marner after the fact. Clearly, it didn't go the way Babs thought that it would. Now, my word, Jeff O'Neill on TSN is getting into some he's gone personal with Babcock, saying horrible human being. And none of that I like. And now Bill Peters has been dragged into it, the Calgary Flames coach, former player there, a former black player that he had in the minors, said that he used the N-word regarding him multiple times, and now the Flames have launched an investigation. So, and of course, Bill Peters was referred to as the protege of Mike Babcock. The two came up together through Spokane.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. Babs has admitted to the Marner thing, and he did apologize. You would hope that he's learned his lesson here.
Yeah.
The thing with Bill Peters, I know Bill. I don't know him well. To say whether he did it or not, I don't know. Not my deal. I guess we'll find out. And by the way, what's going to happen to him if it's found that he did? How are you going to prove it?
Well, it's 10
Have two or three teammates say, yeah, I heard it.
It was 10 years ago.
Right. Let's say they do prove it. What should happen to him? Is he going to get fired? Is he going to get disciplined? Is he going to get suspended? What?
I mean, I don't know because, again, and this is not to make light of that situation at all, because using that, and if he did use the word, it's not right. But I often say we live in a different world than we did 10 years ago. We live in a different world than we did yesterday. People should be allowed to grow and allowed to change. So clearly, in the interview process when he was coming to Calgary, the Flames were comfortable with the person that they were getting. And so I don't think this necessarily should equal a job firing, but there should be something. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you made a mistake. Apologize. Be sincere about it. And understand that, you know what, I've grown and changed. And people need to understand that. And if you haven't grown and changed, and you've been hiding this from people, this kind of person that you are, then you should probably lose your job. But no, we live in a different world than we did 10 years ago. Doesn't mean the mistake didn't happen, but acknowledge it if it happened and apologize, and away you go.
We're going to find out a lot about the Calgary Flames here because are they going to make an announcement? What they found? Are they going to come out and say, we have not found any evidence that Bill Peters used a racial slur against a player, we move on? Or they say, we did find out that it happened. Then what? I think that the public shame and humiliation that Bill Peters will face will be worse than anything that the team could do. And back to Babcock, by the way, if you actually think that he's the only coach in the history of sport to bring in a player and say, what do you think about your teammates? Come on. It happens all the time. Here's the problem. Bill Peters, Mike Babcock came up through the WHL when I did. They're not all like that, but that is the hockey culture. It reminds me of the fight that I got on stage with Daryl Sutter last Saturday night in Paradise Hill. Same thing. Daryl's like, you should be able to say whatever you want, whenever you want, for as long as you want. He was talking about Don Cherry. No, you can't.
Unfortunately.
And as far as, and they talk about hockey culture, you think this culture of sport's different from sport to sport to sport? It's not. Because I've seen this thing happen with the Rough Riders. Coaches have brought players in and said, what do you think of your teammates? And these players have, like I said, their spider senses go off, start tingling. They're like, oh, this is a trap. Marner was a young kid, so he played ball. He complied. But it happens all the time. And I'll just say this. These old hockey guys, I was raised with them. They're all my dad's buddies. So you said it about a different world now. These guys need to be allowed the opportunity to change. And if they don't change, then face the consequences. Don Cherry did. Daryl Sutter's probably not going to coach in the NHL again. As a matter of fact, he was asked, and he said, if I could only coach home games, I'll do it. But that's the old hockey guy. Mike Babcock's not the only guy. As a matter of fact, most of them are like that. From that era.
Yeah.
The guys that are having success now are a little more Renaissance players because you can't coach today's player the way those guys coached. And furthermore, did Brendan Shanahan not know what he was getting when he hired Mike Babcock? I like what Jamie McLennan, Noodles, said on TSN. Why is this just coming out now? Why are they trampling on Babcock's grave now? been in the league how long? 20-some years. Coached how many teams?
Yeah. No, it's true. And
doesn't seem right in a lot of ways to me.
No, and I agree with that. And for Mike Babcock, it's a very interesting situation because you're right. Brendan Shanahan, I think, knew what he was getting, and you knew the kind of style and the discipline you were going to get, and a guy who was, going to continue to stick to his way of doing things and not be distracted by high expectations or the media or all these different external forces that are circling in Toronto on a daily basis. I don't dislike the message, trying to show a kid, okay, pay attention. Who do you look up to? Who do you
don't
not?
Either.
Who do you want to be like? And I think that's important. We need influencers in our life, positive influencers who can, act in a way that we want to act and help us get to where we want to go. I think taking that and throwing the kid under the bus and showing it to the teammates, that's where I've got a problem with it. But I don't think, he's talking about that as his way of doing things. It's all about, trying to set an example and look at who do you want to be like? These guys are working their butts off and they're having success. That's who you got to be like. And that's how you operate on a day-to-day basis as a pro.
Yeah, so I'll again come to Mike Babcock's defense. Nobody else seems to be. And for guys like Jeff O'Neill and Mike Commodore to make it personal, and deeply personal, to say he's a horrible human being, I have a big problem with that. I really do. I mean, look what Mike Babcock's done for this province. You see him on all the ads for the Children's Hospital. He goes in and coaches the Humboldt Broncos spring camp when they didn't have a coach, and we all know why. He didn't have to do that. When the crash happened, he stood at a podium and broke down. Think he's a horrible human being? He's actually not. But that's the product of the environment of the old school hockey way.
Yeah.
And again, I used to be like that. I know we got a lot of new viewers from what we've had over the months that we've been on the air here. That used to be me. But at least I'm very grateful the fact that I was sat down and said, you can't be like that, Rod. This is the way the world is now. These guys don't, no, I'm not talking about to name people. I'm not sure if Babcock's had that opportunity or Sutter. Don Cherry had that opportunity and said, no, thanks.
Right.
So then you suffer the consequences. That's led to our poll today. That's why I keep fidgeting with my phone here. The Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll. In light of the Marner allegations, do you think Mike Babcock will coach again in the NHL? We've got it on Twitter and we've got it on Facebook. My eyes aren't good enough to get that tiny little screen up there on the wall back for the Facebook results. Thank you. 65% on Facebook say yes. 61% on Twitter, voters say yes. Babcock will coach again in the NHL. Now, because he's a tremendous coach, and I bet you he's learned a lesson here.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I bet you, and you would hope that he would grow. Is he without his faults? No. That's why he's going to be looking for a job. But I think he'll coach again in the NHL. When these firings happen, people often wonder, will he come back? I'll always think of Michael Vick, who spent 2 years in jail for the dogfighting ring. People are like, he'll never play again. He got out of jail and signed a contract within a day.
If you need further proof for the phrase "time heals all wounds," it does. And sometimes, and you might think, well, geez, this has never happened. This has never been healed. There's still more time. And so some wounds need more time. But you're right. Mike Vick, that's the biggest example of time heals all wounds. Mike Babcock will coach in the NHL again. And he might even have a job before the end of the season. You see a struggling team, and there's a few of them not meeting expectations. Mike Babcock could be first in line to coach a team. So it'll be interesting to watch it play out.
Well, we have a couple minutes here left in the rollout for Flooring Superstore because I forgot to share the show on my Facebook. So I'm going to do that right now. Do you want to out your sister with the fact that she was at McMahon for Grey Cup and was not impressed with the facility?
Yeah.
I guess I just did.
You just
Sorry.
did. No, it's all good. That was kind of the impression, was like missing a little bit of that, pomp and circumstance and the whole deal around Grey Cup. But I guess they did a really good job dressing it up. But you really saw it, and I think that was the first reaction was, this stadium's kind of a dump, right? That was what I got a text pregame. as we FaceTimed pregame. I'm like, show me where your seats are so I can show the kids where mom's sitting, for the game. And so she showed me where she was sitting, and she's like, this stadium's not very nice, is it? I'm like, no, it's not. But they did a good job dressing it up, and it looked fantastic on TV. What else did she tell me? Takeaways. Jason Kenney, the Premier of Alberta, I was telling you this. The loudest ovation in the entire Grey Cup was for the Premier of Alberta, wearing his oil and gas T-shirt. That was the loudest. More than any touchdown, more than the celebration when the game ended. The loudest ovation was for Jason Kenney, the Premier of Alberta. So that was something. And she said, now we know Candid Frank, he was at the game. He was there.
Was he?
But she said we saw several jerseys from every team in the CFL. Didn't see one Argos jersey. Every other team didn't see the Argos anywhere. Any Argo fans.
That's not good.
So that's not great. Now I'm like, there was an Argo fan. I said, Candid Frank, he was there. I know it. I saw it on his Facebook feed. But no, they didn't see any representation from the Argos.
Actually, Mike Abomeshwik has entered the building, our Grey Cup correspondent. I can't wait to get to his stories. One thing I love with my new life now is that I actually have time to read the news. So a Calgary politician was saying, I guess yesterday, about the commissioner, said that he has a tin ear, basically that he's deaf to the problems of Calgary, when Ambrosi said, we're not coming back with another Grey Cup until you get a new stadium. I think it was a female politician who said, he's got a tin ear. He doesn't understand the problems we're facing as a city of Calgary, and maybe you should pay the money for a new stadium.
What?
I know. I should do her the service of quoting her by name, but it's like, you're just not getting it. But again, we'll sit here in Saskatchewan, and Winnipeg's got a new stadium, and Hamilton's got a new stadium, and Ottawa's got a nice refurbished new stadium. We'll all reap the benefits of these wonderful events that we get, while you sit back and piss and moan that it's not a good investment. Like, get with it. As my friend Johnny Athens would say, wake up and smell the coffee. Is that TV on over there?
I don't know.
Where am I hearing interference from around here?
I'm not sure.
Before we go and end the rollout here for Flooring Superstores, Clark has a photo here. Travis Manick of Winnipeg has sent us a photo from the Winnipeg airport. This is, wow, that is upon the Bombers' return from the Grey Cup. That's the arrivals area there.
Well done, Winnipeg.
That is cool. That reminds me of some, Abu would remember it, 07 when they were coming back from the West Final. Look at, he's got his Bomber jersey on. Our intrepid reporter, Mike Abomeshwik, joins us next. This has been the Rollout for Flooring Superstores, and we're just getting rolling on this Tuesday morning on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.